Alright, what's up guys? New video today. This one is actually pretty interesting. I have reached Platinum yet again. I actually reached Platinum 1 and then I downgraded myself purposely all the way back to Bronze so I can play a new deck and see if I can accomplish getting all the way to it with a budget deck instead of a regular deck. And with the new budget deck, I've actually gotten all the way up to Platinum 5 very easily. Took me less than a day. But here, I'll show you exactly what deck I use. This one might surprise you. So we'll go in here. It's actually this deck, which is Phantasm Spirals. This is a deck that not a lot of you have probably heard of because it has never really come up ever in the metagame before. But in this particular format, this deck is really, really, really strong. So the reason it's really strong is because it can main deck a bunch of things that are extremely good against the meta. It can main deck 3 copies of Skill Drain, 3 copies of Macrocosmos, and basically any other form of interruption. It doesn't even matter. The entire deck is based around a single field spell, which is the Pacifist of Phantasm City. You also, the other reason that this is a budget deck is you don't actually use your extra deck. All of this right here, it doesn't matter what these cards are. These could all literally just be commons from any structure deck or any free deck that the game has given you. Literally, this extra deck, I've never gone into the extra deck once. That's what makes this deck so affordable. And all of the staple cards here are all adjustable. Like, most of these are already super rares. You don't have to play Ash and Maxi. I would recommend that you play Maxi and Ash, but you don't have to make these Maxi and Ash. You can replace these with copies of Torrential Tribute, things like the Paleozoic Trap cards. You can replace a lot of these cards with other cards because this is an extremely just fluid deck in terms of what you can and can't use. As long as you have access to your field spell, that's about it. But here, let's get into the deck profile. This is what I used to get to Platinum. First of all, you use 3 copies of Megalo Smasher. This is the only monster that you are playing in the deck that you are actually summoning. You're not summoning the Maxi, you're not summoning the Ash. This you do summon, but to your opponent's field. But yeah, this is the only monster that you play. You search it out with Fossil Dig, which is pretty cool. Because it's just easy. It's not once per turn. You just search it. Yeah, really, really good. And then, of course, you also get monsters off of the field spell. The field spell is the most important part of the deck. I'll talk about it more when we get to it. Then we play 3 copies of Maxi. I play 3 copies of Maxi. Again, you can adjust this to your liking. There's so many options that you can play. Forbidden Chalice. Like, there's so many budget cards that you can play instead of the Maxi. Then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Again, adjust this to your liking. 2 Lava Golems. This is a little bit weird. You might think, like, why would you play Lava Golem? This seems overall like a going first deck. It is a going first deck. But because Master Rule is a very, very odd format where you don't get to side deck, and sometimes you lose the dice roll, it's good to have cards like Lava Golem. Because the good thing with Lava Golem is it can absolutely just wreck a board. And then the Lava Golem actually has a mandatory effect to inflict life points to your opponent, which will trigger your field spell. And I'll talk about the field spell more when we get to it. But yeah, the Lava Golem activates, triggers the field spell, and then you get a token, and you burn your opponent for 1,000. Also, this deck kind of struggles to get around monsters that are unaffected by things, but Lava Golem just outs whatever you want. Yeah, going second, this card is very good, destroys the board. Even going first, sometimes you can just leave it in your hand, and if your opponent starts to go off, you can just make a Lava Golem. There's been plenty of games where I've come back just because of Lava Golem. But that's why I main deck it in this particular game. 1 Terraforming. These are the only 2 like mandatory ultra rares that you are playing. It's just this and the Metaverse. Those are the 2 mandatory. Those are the only 2 mandatory ultra rares you have to buy, you have to play. But the reality is you need to get them in any field spell deck, so you might as well just get them now and get it out of the way. 3 Fossil Digs. This searches the Megalo Smasher. Pretty simple. If you don't want to play this engine, there's an alternative engine. You can literally just use any normal monster engine. So instead of the Fossil Dig and the Megalo Smasher, you can use Tenki. You can use Tenki instead. Fire Formation Tenki, and then you can use Gene Warped Warwolf. You can do that alternative if you wanted to. Next, we've got Pot of Extravagance, and 1 Pot of Extravagance, 3 Pot of Prosperity. I think this is the good ratio. This is the ratio that I feel very comfortable with. I know it doesn't make sense to draw this and then this, but the reality is by having 4 copies, you're just like you're more likely to see this overall. And all of these are really, really good because they can help you. This is basically like Pot of Greed in this deck because, like I said, you do not go into your extra deck. And this card is like a Pot of Duality on crack because, again, you don't go into your extra deck. You can banish any of these and it doesn't affect your life in any manner. So yeah, it just helps you dig for the field spell, dig for the things like Maxi, interruptions, traps, digs for floodgates. This is a very good consistency card. Then we play, and again, these are only super rares in this game, which I actually find pretty crazy. Like, I can't believe this is not an ultra rare. But then, like, this is an ultra rare, but this isn't. It's confusing. Then we've got 3 copies of the Phantasm Pacifist City. This is the most important card in the deck. This is what wins you games. So basically what this card does is when your opponent activates anything, like literally anything, they activate a hand trap, they activate a trap, like if they activate a card, in the following chain, you get to special summon a token. The token is 2000 attack, level 8. Amazing stats. You can only summon the token if you don't control the token. But what's cool is this card activates after resolution. So whatever your opponent activates, like let's say you have a token on the field and your opponent activates Raigeki to get rid of your token, you can activate this effect and summon another token. The token is essentially not, you cannot get rid of the token. With card effects, you basically can't get rid of the token in any way because the field spell will just create a new token. So the token is basically indestructible by card effects. And then what else is cool is if you summon a normal monster, you get to search for a Phantasm spell or trap card, which are these guys right here, and we'll talk about them when we get there. But the field spell is the heart and soul of the deck. You want to see it as soon as possible. That's why you play so many consistency cards. And yeah, the field spell gives you interruptions. It creates a token your opponent can't get rid of. A lot of positive stuff. Play 2 copies of Torrential. You can bump this up if you want to. It's only a rare. Again, if you like don't have Maxi or don't have 3 Ash Blossoms or something like that, you just play this instead because I mean this is a great interruption. So now the traps. What traps are you searching off of the Phantasm City? Basically, what this card does is this is one of the trap cards that you can search. This card, if you control Umi, which this card is always treated as Umi, you can activate this card from your hand at any time. It's like impermanence. You can just drop it at any given time. On top of that, if you control all normal monsters, you can target a card and destroy it. So if you control the field spell and any normal monster, you can activate this during either player's turn and just activate it, pop a card whenever you want. It's really good. It's not once per turn. You can activate 3 of these in one turn. It's extremely good. It's one of your main form of interruptions. This card is another card that you can use. It's Phantasm Spiral Power. This card is basically like impermanence, plus it decreases your opponent's monster by 1,000 attack points. So it's really strong. You get to search it. It's like a searchable impermanence, essentially. I would play more, but I don't really see the need to because you've got 3 skill drains, so it doesn't even matter. Next, we play Metaverse. This is another way we can search the field spell. It's very important. This is another counter trap that we play. It's called Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi. Basically, what this card does is when a spell or trap or monster effect is activated and you control a non-effect monster, so either you control the token or you control the Megalo Smasher, you can negate the activation of that card. So it's basically like a solemn judgment as long as you control a non-effect monster. Pretty cool, no cost whatsoever. On top of that, if this card's destroyed, you can special summon a non-effect monster from your extra deck, which is a Blue Eyes Ultimate. This does happen once in a while if your opponent just activates like if they Lightning Storm or something like that and you don't have a lot of defenses, you can special summon a Blue Eyes Ultimate for free, which is cool. And it's 4,500 attack. You know, it's tough. It's not really that tough to get rid of, but you know, in a slowed down game state, a Blue Eyes Ultimate can hurt. Next, we've got 3 copies of Skill Drain. For some reason, it's at 3 in this game, and we don't play a single effect monster that matters. Like even Lava Golem, for example. Even when Skill Drain's on the field, Lava Golem is mandatory, so Lava Golem will activate and still trigger the field spell. Like, it doesn't even, like, Skill Drain does not negatively impact us in any way. It's like a one-sided floodgate in every single definition of the word. Next, we play Macrocosmos. I don't know if you've noticed this. We don't have a single card that matters in the graveyard. These 2 actually do have graveyard effects. What they basically do is they re-equip cards to other cards. Because Phantasms have equip cards, but the equip cards kind of suck. But what's cool is you can... Yeah, their graveyard effects are essentially irrelevant. They literally do not matter. But what is cool is that Macrocosmos is essentially another one-sided card. Now, Macrocosmos is even better than Skill Drain because Macrocosmos literally destroys the entire meta. Macrocosmos even destroys stuff like Eldritch. You resolve a Macrocosmos turn 1, I mean, it's a wrap. It's over because they really don't, unless they have a Golden Lord in hand, they cannot out this. They cannot out this card, which makes it really, really good. And then against literally every other deck, Tri-Brigade, they need to send stuff to graveyard. What else? Invoke, they need to send stuff to graveyard. Prank Kids, if their monsters don't go to graveyard after the fusion summon, they don't trigger their effects. Every single deck in the game is hit by Macrocosmos, and this deck and main deck, 3 Macrocosmos, and not even think about it. There is not a single drawback. Actually, the only drawback is that you cannot activate Max C if Macrocosmos is on the field, which is actually good because it protects you, and it actually protects you from a lot of various hand traps. Like, for example, your opponent can't Ghost Ogre your field spell if you have Macrocosmos on the field because they can't send it to the graveyard as cost. So not only do you protect yourself from Max E, you protect yourself from Ghost Ogre, you protect yourself from every single hand trap that says send to the graveyard. Your opponent can't even activate any cards that would send themselves to the graveyard as cost. Like this floodgate is just, it's outrageous. I can't believe it's at 3. Next, we play 3 copies of Sea Stealth Attack. This is another card that's extremely important. Again, as I remind you, the field spell also counts as Umi while face up on the field. This card, when it's activated, you can activate an Umi from your graveyard or from your hand after it's activated. Also has another effect, which is really crazy, which is that you can banish a water monster whenever you want. You can banish a water monster, and then all face-up spawn trap cards on your side of the field are protected. They cannot be destroyed by card effects. So that effect is just super duper awesome because, yeah, basically it makes it so if your opponent activates, for example, Harpy's Feather Duster, right, and you've got the pacifist on the field, you can activate this effect, banish your token because the token can be banished, and then since that resolves, none of your spawn trap cards get destroyed, and now pacifist will just spawn another token. So even though you gave up a token, the thing will just spawn another token anyway, so it doesn't even matter. The tokens are unlimited. You can summon 1,000,000 of them in one turn as long as you don't control any. So that effect is really cool. You get protection for the spawn trap cards. And then this is the most important card effect, which is at the start of the damage step, if a water monster you control whose level is level 5 or higher, which again, the token is level 8, if that battles, you can destroy your opponent's monster automatically. So again, if they just attack it, automatically destroyed. And as I remind you, nothing can really out the token, because no matter what you do to the token, a new token will spawn in the following chain. So you cannot out the token with a card effect, and if they try to battle the token, it gets destroyed automatically. So you basically create a lock where your opponent cannot get rid of the token. And even if your opponent has a monster that can't be destroyed by battle or card effect or something like that, you have skill drains, so their effects are negated anyway. It's really cool. Yeah, this is a really, really strong card. It's probably one of the most important cards in the deck. If you have this plus this on the field, you basically win the duel. All of this other stuff is like extra stuff, but as long as you can basically get the field spell and this on the field, it's a wrap, it's over. And like I said, look at the rarities. These are extremely low rarity cards. The only mandatory ultra rares are Terraforming and Metaverse. Everything else is unnecessary. Now for the extra deck, like I said, try to play stuff that can help you in the duel, but I have never used my extra deck. The only time I ever used the extra deck is when they popped the Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi and I summoned a Blue Eyes Ultimate. Other than that, I have not used the extra deck. So the cards that I think you should play are probably Blue Eyes Ultimate. It's the biggest card to summon. You can also play... Technically, you can make this because you can play a Bahamut Shark and then special summon Totally Awesome with Megalo Smasher, but again, that just doesn't even come up. It's like once in a blue. This never comes up. Like I said, most of these do not matter. You can play whatever you want. These can literally be starter deck cards. The only reason you're playing an extra deck at all is you're banishing it for Pot of Prosperity and Extravagance. The extra deck does not matter, and that is the biggest reason that I think this is the best budget deck, because the extra deck is irrelevant, and on top of that, you only need 2 ultra rares. The rest of the cards are up to you. Everything else can change. Yeah, one of the better decks that I've ever seen played, that I've had the opportunity to play on here. I got to Platinum in a single day, extremely easy, and I recommend you give this deck a try. Thank you for watching. La, 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 la.